Noki had ever left a door closed to Gerda throughout her life. She was the oldest locksmith in town. She knew the secret of forging iron, shaping wood, and unlocking even the most stubborn locks. For Gerda, the world was simple. A lock had a key. That was it. But then, as smart doors began to spread, Gerda's familiar world slowly started to change. Doors no one opened by hand, locks controlled by a phone. Gerda found all of it unnecessary and cold. "I'd trust my own fingers over a machine any day," she'd say. A subtle sneer would cross her face when she saw a new smart lock installed on a neighbor's house. Gerda never held back her vocal criticisms of smart systems. When young Alex Alira's grandson explained the new system they'd installed on his grandmother's door, Gerda had simply raised an eyebrow and scoffed. "So, you trust machines now? What if the power goes out? What if that phone thing breaks? Then you'll call me, and I'll just break your old-fashioned door open." She'd even muttered to herself, "It even says it'll notify you if the door stays open." Nonsense. But deep down, a small spark of curiosity had begun to ignite. How could a machine talk? As evening fell, and she was about to close her shop, she heard a faint, mechanical voice coming from Alara's house. "Attention, front door open." Gerda paused, surprised, and listened. It was really talking. "My goodness," she thought to herself. The next day, as Gerda was working in her shop, the same voice came from Alara's house again, this time more insistent. "Attention, front door open." Gerda initially shrugged it off, but the continuous alerts caught her attention. She hadn't seen Alara all morning. A slight worry crept into her mind. The machine's insistence might mean more than just a simple mistake. Gerda hesitantly left her shop and walked towards Alara's door. It was slightly ajar. "Might as well take a look, I suppose," she mumbled to herself. Maybe she dropped her key. She stepped inside. The house was silent. From the kitchen, a faint sputtering sound could be heard. A teapot on the stove was boiling over. Forgotten. Alara, meanwhile, was in the garden, a little absent-mindedly tending to her flowers, completely unaware that the door had been left open. The smart home system's voice from inside the house grew a little louder. "Fire risk. Kitchen stove detected. Door still open. Security risk." Gerda headed towards the kitchen. Following the sound, she immediately noticed the overflowing teapot and turned off the burner. From outside, the door open alert was still sounding. In that moment, Gerda's heart pounded. This wasn't just an open door, it was on the verge of a disaster. Without the smart system's warnings, who knows what would have happened? Gerda went out to the garden and saw Alara. She called out to her. Alara looked up at Gerda in surprise, a slight panic in her voice. "The door by, oh my God. Thank you so much, Gerda, I didn't even notice. I've been so forgetful lately." The smart system was still alerting. A different sound came from the system. "Front door closed. Security enabled. Thank you." Gerda and Alara looked at each other. Alara sighed with relief. Gerda's face held an expression of surprise and thoughtfulness. For the first time, she felt grateful to a machine. For Gerda, this was a turning point. The machine she had deemed unreliable for years had saved her neighbor's life and home. This was not just technology, it was a helping hand. After this incident, Gerda called Alex. She looked at the smart door system's user manual and asked him what exactly the machine did. Alex explained about the sensors and the artificial intelligence program. Telling her how the system detected abnormal situations, Gerda listened in surprise. "So it sees something I can't?" she asked. Alex explained that the system learned on its own, and by understanding Alara's habits, it could better detect unusual situations like a door being open for too long or something left on the stove. Gerda's face was now filled with pure curiosity. She even had a similar smart lock installed in her own workshop. Although she approached it with skepticism at first, she secretly observed how the system worked. Around this time, reports of small thefts in the neighborhood began to increase. Gerda couldn't sleep. Traditional methods were proving insufficient. Gerda began to combine her own locksmith knowledge with this new observer. At night, she would sit in her shop, taking notes in a small notebook, checking the notifications from the smart door system app. She examined the door open alerts coming from various neighbors' houses. She noticed that the alerts from some homes, especially during hours when no one was home and on specific days, were repeating. There was a pattern. One evening, carrying a flashlight, she walked around the neighborhood and saw a suspicious figure checking a house window. She remembered the alert from the smart system. She immediately called the police. "Yes, this is Gerda. I just received an alert from our neighbor's house that their door was left open. But I saw something strange outside. Someone seemed to be casing the house." The police arrived at the scene, and thanks to Gerda's common sense and the smart system's data, the attempted burglary was prevented, and the thieves were caught. Gerda, with her hands that once scorned technology, was now working like a detective. The data from the artificial intelligence, combined with her years of experience, had restored the town's security. She was no longer just a locksmith, but also the new eye of the digital age. At Gerda's shop, people gathered, thanking her. Alara, Alex, and other neighborhood residents were there. A group of young people were asking Gerda for advice on smart home systems. Gerda smiled. "Let's see," she said. "Perhaps if we combined my old-fashioned knowledge with this new generation's intelligence, We can be of use to you too. Gerda, setting aside her prejudices, discovered that technology could be a powerful ally, not an enemy. Her story showed what age, experience, and traditional wisdom could achieve when combined with new generation technologies. Sometimes the biggest discoveries come from the most unexpected places, and sometimes we learn life's most valuable lessons from that little talking machine we once scoffed at as nonsense. Gerda had unlocked not just doors, but the locks in her own heart, and from that moment on, she was the town's new generation hero.